tell me I'm not going to have to hear that fucking song again. What's up, everybody? Impromptu commentary this week. I thought we would do something fun this weekend. I never come up here and discuss rumors or wrestling website or dirt sheet bullshit because I honestly never really care if any rumors I hear are true or not. I just wait for the truth to come out and I accept whatever it is. But there's a couple of big ones floating out there that I've received dozens of messages on all three of my websites asking me to comment on this and getting my thoughts on it, and it seems pretty persistent and it doesn't seem like it's going away. So whether any of this is true or not, let's talk about it, just for fun. And I figured if I come up here and do a commentary about these subjects in the rumor stage and they both turn out to be true, this might be a fun commentary to look back on a year from now and see if any of my opinions on the future are correct or not. And also, there's a pretty good chance I might not be up here with a commentary after Raw this week because of my busy schedule, so if that's the case, this will give you something to hold you over. Hulk Hogan, here we go again. I'm not going to trash Hogan in this commentary. That's not what this is about. This is about the rumors that he is done with TNA. It looks like he is done with TNA, and we're going to get to TNA's problems in a minute, but you have to think if this company is potentially for sale and they're having some financial issues, you have to wonder what sense it makes for them to try to, negotiate and throw a ton of their money that they really don't have at Hulk Hogan when he really obviously brings nothing to the table. He was there 4 years and they did nothing. They're exactly in the same position that they were before Hogan got there. I dare say they're a little bit less popular. So the Hogan and Bischoff experiment failed and they can both go fuck themselves as far as I'm concerned. Now with Hogan's departure and with WrestleMania 30 looming on the horizon, rumors started swirling that maybe Hulk Hogan could be coming back home to the WWE to do something at WrestleMania 30. Now, I do think I've touched on this a couple of times in the last several weeks. People asking me about Hulk Hogan and WrestleMania 30. People are saying, oh, it's rumored they're going to bring him in. He's going to have a match against The Undertaker. He's going to wrestle John Cena. And I was the first one to say, no, please, God fucking no. I think that the WWE is smart enough that if they wanted to bring him in, he's not going to have a high-profile match at WrestleMania. That is not going to happen. Hulk Hogan has trouble walking up the stairs to his bedroom. You want to put him in the ring in a match in the biggest show of all time at his age and his condition? Are you fucking crazy? Hulk Hogan makes the Great Khali look like Shawn Michaels. There is absolutely no way they can do that. I think the WWE is smart enough to know that, and if they wanted to bring Hulk Hogan in, it's simply to do some sort of an appearance. And it may surprise a lot of you to hear this, but if Hogan came back and showed his face around WrestleMania 30 time, I would not have a problem with that at all. I've tried my best to make peace with Hulk Hogan. What's always made me so mad about Hulk Hogan and why I've been so incredibly hard on him in the past, you guys have heard the commentaries I've done on him. I have fucking ripped him a new one. And it's not out of anger. It's not out of bullshit blind anger like I hear from so many people that hate John Cena. This is out of me being truly disappointed as a wrestling fan. Hulk Hogan changed the business in his day. If it weren't for that Hulk Hogan character, that Hulkamania period of time, and it made the WWF and Hulk Hogan a household name, wrestling was huge. Without that time period, without that Hulk Hogan character, we might not be looking at what we're looking at today. So I have always acknowledged Hulk Hogan's contributions, the fact that he's a household name, and the fact that he's the Babe Ruth of wrestling, because he is. In my heart of hearts, as a wrestling fan, my Babe Ruth is The Undertaker. But when I think about it logically, and I think about all the reasons I just pointed out, and how significant Hulk Hogan and his success was to the history of the business, he is the Babe Ruth of wrestling, and he was at WrestleMania 1. WrestleMania 1 started it all. It seems fitting that Hogan should be at WrestleMania 30. If you ask me, Hogan should have never left the WWE. When he came back after WCW folded, that run from 2002 up until present day, he should have been with the WWE the whole time. He should have been paid a very handsome Legends contract because he is the legend of legends. Maybe do, I don't know, one match a year all the way up until 2005, then when he faced Randy Orton, and then after that, just be involved here or there, like how Shawn Michaels comes in and out. 1 to 2 times a year, cut a promo in the ring, maybe a little confrontation with a wrestler, or maybe something to tease the fans. Hogan can do the finger pointing, maybe hit somebody with 3 punches, a boot and a leg drop, and that sort of thing, but don't put him in high-profile matches at big pay-per-views. I think Hogan could have been that guy. I think he could have been revered and honored as the Babe Ruth of wrestling, and he could have had a great great relationship in his retirement years with the WWE, and he could have been fucking set for life. He could have been the ambassador. He could go all over the world and do the things that the WWE wants, when they want to send somebody out to represent their company. What better guy than the guy that basically built Titan Towers? But no, that would be too easy for Hulk Hogan. He decided to revert back to a time period in your life when you're a fucking moron, when you're a goddamn immature, ignorant dipshit that doesn't know fucking reality or right from wrong or what the fuck to do because you're goddamn 20 years old. So Hogan goes out there and he starts making a reality show. His fucking family crumbles under drama. He's got all sorts of drama with his wife. He's getting tattoos that make him look like an NBA basketball player. He's making sex tapes. I mean, the guy, what the fuck, man? When you approach the age of 60 years old and you've made all the money and you've had all the success you've had in the wrestling business, don't you just want to sit back in your fucking backyard and crack open a beer and hang out with your family or your friends and talk about old times together? Aren't you sick of the travel, the airports, the different cities, the packed arenas, the gobs of fucking morons coming up to you, asking you for autographs, bothering you, hounding you? You can't get a moment's fucking peace. If it was me, I would move somewhere out in the middle of fucking nowhere. Roddy Piper lives in Oregon. Edge lives in Asheville, North Carolina. These are very wide open places where you can just get peace and enjoy nature and hear the birds chirping and the wind blowing and nobody fucking bothers you. That's what I would do. Hogan wants to stay in the limelight, stay in the spotlight, be in everybody's face. He's always got all these different fucking business ventures. He's on a fucking wrecking ball with a fucking thong. I mean, what the hell are you doing all this for? Do you really need the money? I mean, I know your wife took you to the cleaners, but somehow I think you're going to be just fine. And you should have more than enough money to live off of until you die. So after the WWE takes him back, after he had been in WCW working so hard to put them out of business, they welcome him back and say, hey, whether we like it or not, you still are that Babe Ruth of wrestling. We want to make you that. And I'm pretty sure Vince McMahon wanted to sign Hogan to some sort of a lifetime deal that you can say, you are our guy. You are synonymous with the WWE. Hulk Hogan and the WWE are like peanut butter and jelly. You cannot have one without the other. But what does Hogan do? No, that's okay, Vince. No thanks. I would like to go and start running this company that draws 300 fucking people for their house shows and see if I can make it bigger. And I'm even going to go head to head with you on Monday nights, just like I did in WCW. And Vince, you're going to have a real competitor on your hands, brother. Well, Hogan, how did that work out for you? It seems to me, Bound for Glory, the WrestleMania of pay-per-views for TNA, drew 62 people. You didn't do shit for that company, and they are lucky to be rid of you. I sure as hell hope you don't go back there just for the sake of TNA. But if you come back to WWE, you know what? I'm all for it. Why not? A couple of weeks ago, I might have told you I'd commit suicide if Hogan ever showed his face in WWE again, but why would I say that? Honestly, truthfully, Hogan can't do anything to the WWE. He doesn't have any control there. He's fucking harmless. In the grand scheme of things, people are going to barely notice Hogan is there. Where in TNA, he was the fucking face of the promotion. Hogan's just going to come back into the WWE as the returning legend for some sort of a moment or some sort of something for WrestleMania. The Hall of Fame could be a really good idea. If they decide to induct Savage or Warrior or something like that, that could be a really good inductor for them, and then Hogan can come out in WrestleMania. Who says he can't cut a promo? I'm not saying you can't cut a promo. Fucking fly Mean Gene down to New Orleans and get the two of them to do an old school WrestleMania promo backstage during WrestleMania 30. I think that would be great. So something like that, as a fan of the business, since the mid-1970s, I would love to see something like that recreated. So if Hogan's coming back in and the WWE wants to bring him back in for any nostalgia reasons for WrestleMania 30, then I'm in favor of it. If this was WrestleMania 31, if this was WrestleMania 29, or any other pay-per-view, I would say no, 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 absolutely fucking not. There is no reason to pay this fucking washed up, dirty old shitbag any money to come back and do anything with the WWE. But things are different this year. This is WrestleMania 30. This is a huge pay-per-view. I've mentioned it before. WWE has a chance to right the wrongs that they have with WrestleMania 20. The whole situation, they can never show the main event of WrestleMania 20, a milestone pay-per-view in Madison Square Garden where it all began. They can never show the main event of that show. How bad does that suck, right? So they have a chance to recreate a very special show, a very special moment, and a milestone pay-per-view for the WWE. 30 WrestleManias. That's unbelievable. And a very good portion of the people listening to this weren't born when the first WrestleMania aired, and that's even more unbelievable. So I always try to look at both sides of every story. Yes, I have my problems with Hulk Hogan. Yes, I think he's just turned into a piece of shit later on in his life, but it's not too late. He can still come back in, do some stuff with the WWE. He better not act like Ric Flair. Don't act like a fucking child. Get yourself hammered every fucking night. And by God, you're coming over to a TV PG product, so you might want to cut out making the sex tapes. Might help your chances too there, Hulk. And that's another reason why I think if Hulk does resurface in the WWE, it cannot be for anything big, because they have an image now. The WWE wants everybody to know that they are good, wholesome family entertainment. Every bit of publicity that Hulk Hogan has gotten since in the last 5 or 6 years has been negative. Negative, negative, negative. He's either being made fun of, he's a fucking joke, he's getting himself in trouble, he's making pornographic videos, he is fucking up. So the WWE would seem really hypocritical if they brought somebody like that back in, name or not. Forget it. I don't care if you're Hulk Hogan. You cannot fucking behave that way. They cannot preach all this shit to their stars or their talent, and then have this old timer come in that's just acting like a fucking buffoon and they're paying him a bunch of money. No, that's wrong. That's going to fuck up your morale. So if you want to bring Hogan back in, fine. He needs to do exactly what I just said. He needs to induct somebody in the Hall of Fame, and he needs to do a promo with Mean Gene at WrestleMania. That is it. So if that's the case, and that's what Hogan's coming back to do, then guess what? Good mic work welcomes him with open arms. Welcome home, Hulk. Welcome home. But I would be equally as happy if you just stayed the fuck at home. Next order of business, TNA could be for sale. That's all over the fucking place now. People are telling me about that. It's rumored they're trying to sell the company, and it does not surprise me at all that if TNA, who's been struggling ever since they came into existence, they've had a lot of trouble, making payments and stuff recently, and all those other rumors we're hearing about, and I don't think they've really ever turned a profit, and they're just being funded on the side by, I don't know, the Carters or Panda Energy or what other fuck owns it. I don't even know. So it is possible that they could be selling the company. Who's it going to be sold to? Who knows? This is the funniest part. I don't know how much TNA is really worth or who's going to buy it. And any rumors that I've heard a couple of things. Even the fucking Smashing Pumpkins guy, Billy Corgan, who is a fan, actually. I do remember he would be on Nitro and Raw. He would go to both shows. I remember WCW and WWE would show him in the front row of the shows many times. He's a huge wrestling fan. I do know he loves ECW as well. So if he bought it, that would be like a fan buying the business. Which, if you think about it, that might not be all that bad, because now you have a fan's perspective on things, and he can say things like, hey, here's what I would like to see happen, or as a fan, I think this would look good. When you got people like Vince McMahon and others, they don't have that perspective because they've never been a fan. They think they know what people want, and in most cases, they don't. So with a guy like that, fuck it, fine, why not? Now, I wouldn't like a guy like this buying the WWE, but for TNA, they're just a small company. They're just a little fucking small company. Let them experiment. Let them have fun. Let them try to give the fans what they want. And if they have a fan running it, it seems like that should be your best chance for TNA surviving, But I don't think TNA, whoever buys TNA, has to accept that TNA is going to be at the level they are. They can grow a little bit. I think TNA has room to grow. But whoever buys it has to abandon the thought that they can ever, ever, ever in a million, billion, trillion years come close to competing with the WWE. It is flat out impossible. Even if you had a multi-billionaire buy the company, you can't steal John Cena. You can't steal Brock Lesnar. You can't steal The Rock. You can't do any of that shit that made WCW famous 20 years ago. Things are different now. The companies are protected. Wrestlers are contracted. John Cena, I'm pretty sure, I don't know the legal terms of it, but I'm pretty sure that John Cena has signed a deal with the devil. He can probably never leave the WWE ever. He's probably forbidden to ever wrestle in another wrestling company ever. And it's probably because, we're going to make you the face of the company. You're going to be our guy. You're going to be, John Cena and the WWE are going to go hand in hand together exactly the way Hogan and WWE did. And we're going to protect our investment, and we're going to make sure that you can never screw us in the future. And I think they take those steps with a lot of wrestlers, and that's why they change guys' names. That's why Daniel Bryan is not Bryan Danielson. That way, if he becomes huge, he can't go to another company and use the same name, and they have to, shit like that. So they're so fucking careful now. So if TNA keeps their eye on the ball and they say, we understand who we are, we understand our identity, and we can be very successful at this, as long as we don't get too big for our britches, start fucking booking buildings, that we're never going to fill, going on the road when we can't afford it, things like that. If they stay smart, stay small, and say, hey, we want to be 25% of the size that the WWE is. We just want to be 1/4 as successful as they are. And guess what? That's still pretty fucking successful. That's a lot more successful than ECW was, and look how popular they were. So TNA, as long as they abandon the dream of overthrowing the WWE has taken steps to make sure that no wrestling company will ever do that to them again. It won't happen. And you can debate that all you want. I'm telling you right now, it won't happen. But I still think that there is room for more wrestling companies out there. You can't have a second WWE, but you can have some alternative companies, which was what TNA was. They were fast-paced, exciting, athletic entertainment, six-sided ring, innovative ideas, smaller buildings, more intimate crowds, good in-ring workers, focused more on in-ring ability than, charisma and, storytelling and entertainment and all of that. They were wrestlers. WWE was sports entertainers. But TNA started getting away from that, and they became, not that their matches aren't still good, but they were really, really trying to be sports entertainment just like the WWE is. And that's what wrestling is. It is entertainment. If you're trying to pass this shit off as real, and you say, oh, John Cena, he wins every match, it's not believable. Well, guess what? It's fucking fake. Fucking Khali coming out there and blowing a fucking kazoo, at Santino's fucking Cobra sock. That's not fucking realistic. None of this shit's realistic. It's fucking wrestling. It's just fucking entertainment. And that's been the one biggest problem with the Smarks is that they've always tried to treat wrestling as a legitimate sport. I know it makes you feel better inside to do that. I know it makes you a little bit less embarrassed to try to pretend that this shit, is, it's a serious form of competition. It's not. It's fucking wrestling. Are there great athletes in wrestling? Hell yes. Look at all of the athletes between WWE and TNA. If you just base them on in-ring ability alone, wow, there's some fantastic wrestlers out there. But with what wrestling is today and, plus and with the explosion of UFC, and MMA and all of that, wrestling is just not the same. The WWE, I think, realizes that. That's why they're fucking making movies now, and they're so over the top with their storylines. And just like what we saw with John Cena a couple weeks ago when he got shot in the face by Damian Sandow and still somehow won the match. And that's why we see fucking the Khali and Santino and 3MB and shit like that. It's all fucking hokey, good fun. So my biggest advice to TNA, if you want to be successful with a new owner, is just get back to your roots. Stop, just put the WWE completely out of your mind. For immediate purposes, there is no WWE. Just forget they exist. Concentrate on what you're doing. Concentrate on your product, your business, your wrestlers, your talent, your company, and not worry about what anybody else is doing, because you know what? That's Vince's philosophy. Vince doesn't give a rat's ass about TNA, and TNA shouldn't give a rat's ass about him. Vince is not trying to put TNA out of business. TNA is putting themselves out of business. So it's just an uphill battle for TNA is all I'm saying, and I think that they can be very, very successful if they have a level-headed owner and they make smart business decisions and they work hard to please their fan base. That's it. It seems like a simple recipe for success. And if TNA fans are as loyal as they say they are, a mentality and a philosophy like that should be exactly what they want. Now, if TNA does all of that I just said, and the fans still don't give a shit, and WWE is just going to rule the wrestling world until the end of time, unfortunately. And with WWE being the king of the wrestling world for all these many years, it is kind of ironic that there is one icon, there is one legend that they've never been able to get their hands on, and that's Sting. Which is the final thing I'm going to be talking about, because as I've been getting messages all week long about the TNA sale rumors about Hulk Hogan, possibly going back to WWE, I also hear a lot of people asking me about Sting. Oh, the WWE wants to bring him back in and, finally bring him into the company, have a match with The Undertaker at WrestleMania. What a matchup. Am I the only one that does not want to see this? I love Sting. I have a ton of respect for Sting, but how everybody keeps thinking that this is going to be some sort of a great match. First of all, The Undertaker and Sting have no history at all. None. I understand that it's a dream match for a lot of the fans, The Undertaker versus Sting, but still, is that really what you want for WrestleMania? Think about the company you have. Think about the stars you're building. Think about your roster. Think about everybody else that could have that spot. You want to come in and give WrestleMania money to Sting, a guy that's never worked a day in the WWE and has turned them down every time they've offered him a spot? I don't think that's fucking fair. Nothing against Sting, but he doesn't deserve it. He doesn't deserve that match against The Undertaker. If the fans want to see that, no, you don't. You wanted to see that in 1997. You do not want to see that in 2013. I sure as hell don't. The Undertaker knew he could have good matches with Triple H and Shawn Michaels because he's worked with those guys before. He's never even worked with Sting. I mean, maybe early in his career when he was in WCW. I'm sure him and Sting were in the ring together somewhere. But 25 years later, I mean, come on. Now, much like with Hulk Hogan, it's not that I don't want Sting to come into the WWE. If he could finally get there at the very end, and that says a lot to the WWE too, that they want him so badly. Sting is like 60 years old. Why did they want Sting at this age? Or maybe he's 50. I don't know what he is, but he's up there. I think the WWE wants to bring him in to honor him and do a DVD on him and induct him in the Hall of Fame and make a little money off his ass. and make some for Sting for that matter as well. But just like Hogan, you really want to bring Sting into the WWE and give him that high profile of a match at WrestleMania 30? That is not fair. That's not fair to all those guys on the WWE roster that have been working hard for so many years, and it's definitely not fair to whoever they have penciled in to face The Undertaker right now at WrestleMania 30, whether that be Brock, whether that be Cena, I don't know. I've already had my own plans for Undertaker. I mentioned it a couple commentaries ago. It's looking now like that's not the plan, but I just really wish he would retire. You know, this is just such the perfect show. The timing for everything is perfect. WrestleMania 30 just sounds good. It sounds like a good place for The Undertaker to end it. And I think if he has a retirement match, it doesn't need to be with Sting. It needs to be with John Cena. Or at the very least, somebody he has a lot of history with. Now, unlike Hulk Hogan, I am not opposed to Sting having a match, even at WrestleMania 30, or anywhere for that matter. Yes, I think he's old. Yes, I think he's a shell of what he used to be, but he's still 10 times quicker, faster, and more capable than Hulk Hogan is at this age. So if Sting came back in to work a match, I think he could pull it off. Sting is a legend. He's an icon. He's one of the best wrestlers of all time. Even at his age, I think that Sting can pull off a match like this if called upon. But I don't want it to be in a match with The Undertaker that high profile. I want it, and plus, you know, then who goes over? Sting's going to come back into job? You know, I mean, I'm sure Sting respects The Undertaker greatly, but hey, Sting, come on in. We're going to pay you all this money and then just have you getting tombstoned and pinned. If you bring a guy like this in, Sting has to have a moment. Sting needs to win his match. So if he did work something at WrestleMania, they could pick anybody on the roster. Just pick anybody. Remember when fucking Ultimate Warrior came back at WrestleMania 12? They just looked at their roster, like, okay, let's find a mid-carder. Who would be good? Triple H, perfect. Hunter Hearst Helmsley, put him in the ring with him. Just scan your roster. Stick Jack Swagger in there with fucking Sting or something like that. He can work with anybody and he can win, and it can be a great moment. Sting can go into the Hall of Fame. They can release a DVD on him. He can have a big WrestleMania weekend and a big match and a victory at the show. They can all be chronicled inside the DVD, and it can be just a great moment for Sting, and it could be the WWE's way of acknowledging what a true legend he really is. Bringing him in and having him getting tombstoned and pinned by The Undertaker is no way to honor him, and it's not fair to everybody else that would really like to get that WrestleMania paycheck. So if Sting and Hogan both wind up coming back to the WWE, I think Hogan should not wrestle, Sting could, and I think the scenarios that I laid out for both of those guys is really truly exactly what needs to happen. I would be disappointed as a fan if it turned out to be any other way. And there's also the very big possibility that this entire commentary was moot because none of it is even true at all. So I guess time will tell. Until next time, peace.